Yeah.
Did you always know you were adopted?
Yes, my parents were very wise to tell me at a very young age that I was adopted, even before I could understand the word.
Right.
So I was very familiar with it growing up, and then finally when the time came when I did understand what adoption really meant, it was a very good thing. It was wonderful. I actually used to brag about it to my friends. You know, I used to say, hey, I'm adopted. You ain't, you know. I was chosen and you weren't, you know.
That's right. I did the same with my son. Eric, when you were adopted, did you have a difficult life in your adoptive home?
My mother was first married to a man named Lloyd Puckett, and he was a wonderful and very gentle man. I have one very distinct memory of him. He died when I was very young. I was in the bedroom playing with my mom's hairpins or something, and I was chewing on them, and they snapped open, and they had my mouth pinned shut, and I was freaking out. And my dad came and rescued me, and I distinctively remember looking him straight in the face, and he just smiled at me, and he made everything okay. But unfortunately, he passed away before I really got to know him.
You were how old?
I was, I think, about 2 or 3 then.
Oh. And did she remarry?
Yes, my mom remarried, and unfortunately, the guy, he started out to be a great guy, but then he had turned into a nightmare, and she remarried to her third husband, who also started out a really great guy. However, at this point in my life, I had just about had all I wanted with dads.
Then you say at one point your adoptive mom, whom you really did like, right? She just
Very
had
much
bad
so. I
taste
love my
in
mother
men.
with all of my heart. This woman has sacrificed her life for me.
The adoptive mom, she just had bad taste in men. One day she drops a bombshell on you and your life suddenly stays. And what he is hoping is that someone listening or viewing might be able to help him find her, and that would be very nice in turn and just in time for the holidays. Orville and his wife, and your wife was blind.
Blind from birth.
Blind from birth. Gave birth to a baby girl 22 years ago against incredible odds. And you were, I'm told, quite a good dad, were you not?
I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. You even made her clothes by hand?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I have made her a lot of small dresses.
And did you take good care of her, Orville?
Best I could.
The best you could.
Yeah.
And then something very bad happened to little Charity. What happened, Orville?
I had to go to the bathroom, so I locked the front door. Keep her from going out on the porch or running off.
She was how old, about 2?
About 2.
Okay.
Just beginning to walk. I went on to the bathroom, not thinking nothing, and living room chair backed up to the mantel. What time I was gone, she climbed up in the chair and got the kerosene and drunk it.
So the little baby, in the time that he was gone, it's all right, Orville, it isn't your fault. Things like that happen. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
The little baby went and drank the kerosene. What did you do, Orville?
I had a Pontiac sitting in the front yard, no license plates on it whatsoever. My driver's license at the time was revoked for drunk driving. Mm-hmm. Instead of taking a chance going to the phone, I just put her in the car and off I went to the hospital.
It was an emergency, so Orville flat out broke the law. He drove without plates, and he drove with an expired license. It says that about 13 years ago, he lost touch with 2 important women in his life, his mom and his sister, and he would do anything to see him again. Now, let's be honest. It was your fault, wasn't it?
More or less, yes.
More or less. I don't mean to indict you. I just mean to say that sometimes we grow up and we learn things about ourselves.
Exactly.
Okay. Frank hadn't met his mother and sister until he was 19 years old. Can you explain that to me?
Well, my parents were very young when I was born. I was born on an Air Force base in Louisiana, and my mother was 17, my father was 19, and he was in the Air Force at that time. And they had split up 2 years later. I was 2 years old, and I went with my real father. And growing up, all I heard about my real mother were negative thoughts. You know, negative.
Wait, let me understand. Your parents divorced when you were 2 years old.
Correct.
They were still very young.
Correct.
you went with your biological father who remarried,
Correct.
and all you heard were how bad your mom was.
Correct.
Okay. And then you joined the service and went off to boot camp and got a shock. What was the shock?
Had received a letter one day, and I, continued to read the letter, and I had no clue who it was from, what it was about, what it was contained in the letter, and right off front, she didn't come out and say who she was, but she kind of led into it because she didn't know how I would react to it. So I continued to read it, and then it came out, and it's just like something that you've always had in the back of your mind, like, I wish I knew, and now all of it's coming to materialize, and it's, the feeling's overwhelming. It's hard to explain. You just feel as though, it's like an out-of-body experience. You don't even feel like you're there, like, wow.
So this woman wrote, and Mary has done the best she can with those 25 children, varying degrees of. Mary's husband left her shortly after that Linda and Michael came to live with her. One day, Linda confessed to her mother that she wanted to find her siblings.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
She told me when she was about 18, we had talked about, very openly.
So there were other children. How many children were there totally in her
After
family?
Linda and Michael came to live with us, the family had 3 more girls and a boy that we know of.
Okay. Did you try to search for them?
Yes, we have been trying to find them, and it was amazing because we were watching one of your shows, Sally, one day, and
They were on?
on a reunion show, and Linda said, "Mom, I would like to find my brother
Is that true?
Yes.
and my sisters to make sure that they were okay."
So, Linda, you told your mother that you have a Christmas wish. Is that all you want for Christmas?
That's all I want for Christmas is to find my brothers and sisters.
Okay. How old are you now, Linda?
I'm 28 now.
You're 28 years old?
28 now.
Okay. Why is it important for you, Linda, to find them?
Because I want to see if they're all right, and I also just would like to get to know them, and it's very important to me. That's something that's been very important to me.
I know for myself, I'm getting married.
Congratulations.
I'm getting married in August. I think I actually was diagnosed with Crohn's, which I think you might know.
Yes, I am very loyal to and very appreciative of the Crohn's Foundation, and they have been very good to us here on the show, and we have hoped to help them out. So anything you ever need, you let us know, and we'll be glad to. And Crohn's is, in many cases, hereditary?
Yes.
So finding your mother is pretty important.
Yeah, it is. I wish I knew that earlier. So there was years I went with misdiagnosed. When I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, they weren't unable to diagnose something. And I think now, if my fiance Nick and I decided to have children, I think this is a big issue with us with medical. I would love to know something maybe down the line might come up.
Well, if you don't have biological children, you can always do what your parents and what I did, and that is adopt. So tell me what you know about what kind of information you have about the mother you're looking for, and see what we can do to help you.
Okay, I know we're really fortunate to know, we know her name. My mother's name is Jean. I was born in Miami, Florida. I'm 26, February 12th, 1970. Did I say Mount Sinai Hospital? My sister, I think you have to help me. My sister was Jill. She was born May 10th, 1972. She was born in Dallas, Texas. Baylor. University. I know me and my sister both feel very strongly about not giving or knowing their last name. We do know their lawyer's name, which might help. My lawyer was Sal Alexander, and my sister's was Bird Bar. So.
And Jill's mom's name was Leslie.
So either of those two we're going to try and help find, right?
Yeah.
Good. And as quick as possible. I also want to ask you, how do you feel as parents about the girls looking for their biological parents?
All I can say is, if I were adopted, I would need to know.
Son of international location. Now, she is the one that is responsible for all of you. And Arlene and I were just talking, and she said, you know what? Her husband hasn't seen her in how long?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. But is he a good detective? Does he know you've really been with us?
He's wonderful. He's wonderful. He understands that this isn't a job. This is like a life work.
This
And
is a life work.
this
Were
was
these
really
tough
what
cases to crack?
You know, some of them were tough, some of them were easier, but what they really all shared, and I think we all felt that today, was this message of hope. I mean, they all had this hope, they all had this faith, they all had this abiding love that has kept them going and connected.
Do you
and kind
think-
of powered all of us. That's what the season's about, isn't it?
Do you think you can help her?
We're already starting.
Okay, good. So we're
As
on the
we speak.
case. What percentage of people don't want to be found or are angry with you when you find them?
Not very many. And